It can seem very easy to get stuck in the things of this world and for those things that entice us and pull us in. But in the end, they just leave us empty and they leave us feeling just unfulfilled and unsatisfied.
Welcome to Good News. Stay tuned to hear more from this incredibly gifted young man.
Welcome to Kingdom Huddle. This is Wilma Parker, and once again, I have a special guest with me.
Hey, I'm Alan Murrah, and I'm here to share some good news.
Stay tuned. Alan is here. A lot of you know Alan, but some of y'all may not know Alan. But I know this young man, and the way that I actually got to know him is my husband and I were in the process of looking for a new church home. We had left our previous church in Concord we were there for maybe close to 10 years, I believe. And God just said it was time for us to do something different. It was a new season. So we were going to different churches, and we happened to go to the church that Alan was attending in Salisbury. You want to shout it out?
Cornerstone Church.
Cornerstone Church in Salisbury. And we were sitting in the audience, and the way that I was positioned to the stage, I couldn't really see who was singing on the mic, but I remember hearing this voice. And the whole time I'm sitting doing service like, who is that? Like, could y'all please, who is that? Because his voice was just, I've heard a lot of beautiful voices, being in ministry. To me, I believe that church people have some of the most prettiest voices that I've ever heard, most powerful voices that I've ever heard. I've heard powerful voices, but it was something different about your voice. It was like this anointing, this warmness about your voice, and I was just like, who is that grown man? And then after service, it was Alan. I was like, oh. And at the time, I don't think you had a beard or anything like that. You were much younger. I was just like, that's that kid that was singing like that. But listen, Alan, I love this young man. I love his spirit. He's humble. But I want to just throw it to you for a moment and just tell people, who is Alan?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm Alan. I'm 24. I'm originally from Louisville, Kentucky, but I moved here in 2012.
Okay.
So we've been here for about 10 years now. But in all honesty, I'm just a worshiper, and I love the Lord. That's all I can really say. Throughout my life, I've just been just trying to do my best to live for Him, and sometimes it can be scary and difficult at times. Definitely, just because of the way that I feel the Lord's leading me to go in my life. But I know if I trust Him, everything's gonna be good. Everything's
gonna be good. That's the right attitude to have. But I want to dig a little bit deeper. You mentioned that you're a worshiper. Can you go a little bit more and tell people exactly what it is that you do in church?
Course. Yeah. So I serve at my church, Cornerstone Church in Salisbury, as the worship leader. I have for about 3-4 years now. I started when I was 19, 24 now. And so I've been doing that. They really took a chance on me because I had no idea what I was doing. I was just one who loved to worship. I've been like that since I was a kid. I just loved worshiping God and being in His presence. And I feel like that just has been just a part of me my entire life, and it's translated over into ministry and the platform as well. And so I've been able to just express how good God's been to me. Every Sunday, every week, every Wednesday.
Every Wednesday, every Sunday. And whenever you are in the presence of Alan and the worship band, everybody else, I can't leave them out, but you truly feel the presence of God. It's not a performance. It's really, like he said, it's worship. It's almost like he is worshiping God, and you just get to be a part of that experience with Him. So I love watching you in worship. So you mentioned that you are a worshiper. For those who aren't Christians, who aren't saved, they might not quite understand that terminology. So can you break it down for us as a child, because you're still young, but as a younger individual, how did you discover God, or was that something that was constantly always in your life?
Right. I think it really started when I was it's always been my entire life just being a worshiper. I feel like my mom, she did, like, as I grew up, she would teach me about who Jesus was, and she'd read us the stories and all those things, and we'd play church at home sometimes.
Oh, you play church.
We play church, just laid each other
were
out.
You were the worshiper?
Right. Oh, I wasn't the worshiper. We were just laying each other out.
Oh, okay. All right, slaying in the spirit. Okay.
Right. And so we would do that, and then, but I feel like that really, honestly, cultivated like a curiosity and hunger for God as a kid, and so I really just wondered who he was. I heard about him, I heard his name, but I didn't know him for myself.
Yeah.
And so about probably when I was 8 years old, I remember I had my like real first memory of having like an experience with the Lord, because I was I was the kid that would just sit by myself in the front row and worship God. I just loved to do that. We had just a little small church. It was just my family. It was my great aunt and uncle that were the pastors. And so when we go to church on Thursday nights, and I just sit in the front row by myself and sing, and all my cousins are in the back just, goofing off like kids do. But I was just like, I just want to worship God. And so I would sit in the front row by myself, and that's really a time where I felt like, I feel God. Like I didn't even know what I felt, honestly, but I just knew what I felt was good, and just with circumstances in my life, and I come from a single parent household. It was just my mom, and so there was difficulties, of course, from that. But whenever I was just at church worshiping God, I just felt such a peace and such a comfort, and that stuck with me. And I was like, I kind of want this all the time.
Wow. So this, what you're describing, happened at the age of 8?
Right.
That you felt that comfort?
Right.
Wow, that's beautiful. So once you felt that connection, it drew you to God even more. And so what you're pretty much describing to me is almost like people use the term set apart.
Yeah.
Meaning that there's just something different. There's just something special about that individual. They're not like their peers. Right. And at an early age, you were different.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And sometimes when you're younger, you don't like that term different, because as a child, you want to just fit in.
Right.
But you felt a hunger and something different in your heart.
Definitely.
And so you're currently working in the church, and you're a worship leader. Have you always worked in the church?
No, never. Honestly, this is my first job. I never worked anywhere until I started working at my church. I was 19 when Bishop Goder, he was like, "Hey, you want a job?" Because he heard I was searching for one. So I was like, just filing applications for like fast food places, stuff like that. And so someone told him like, "Hey, if you don't give him a job, you might lose him. So you might want to give him a job." And so he was just like, "Yeah, come on." And so he just found me something to do, which was social media. And so I just got in on that, and then it just started from there. I was part-time for about a year, and then went to full-time from there. So I've been at the church for like 6 years now, working almost.
Now, when I think about worship leaders, I always, like in the past, before I really got to know them when I was younger, I always saw them as individuals who were like walking on water, almost like, oh my God, they're super spiritual. Like they must be super close to God, because they're like up there worshiping, singing, and the crowd is moving, people are crying. I always assumed that those individuals had a close relationship with God, that they never really struggled with their relationship. That was an assumption on my part, because not just because you sing doesn't mean you really, really know God.
Right.
So, did you ever, as a worship leader, I feel like there's pressure in the sense that you have to bring all of you to it, because you have to bring all of you to it. Yeah. Has there ever been a time in your life where you felt like, I just don't got it. Like, I don't have it. Like, God, I don't feel you near me. I can't hear you, but I have to go out here and lead worship and bring these people closer, set the atmosphere. Have you ever felt like that?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Talk about it.
I think, honestly, it's been a struggle since I was probably a teenager. Like you had talked about before, just being set apart. Like I guess from a young age, I realized that I didn't know what it was, but I was like, I'm not like everybody else. And so I kind of, I let that get to me a lot. And so I would just get, honestly, like struggled with, it made me insecure. It made me depressed at times. It made me feel anxious. I struggled with anxiety, depression at times. And so that wasn't just when I was a teenager. It's carried over to now, even as well. And there's just days where I just have to, really get before God and be like, hey, this is how I feel. I need you to help me with it. But there's definitely been times where those those seasons have just come in, and I've just been like, God, I know you're good, and I know you're great, and I know you're God, and I know you're mighty, I know you're sovereign and holy, but I really don't feel like it right now. I don't feel like doing anything.
You know?
Yeah.
You can have all the head knowledge and all the biblical knowledge, but when life hits you, it hits you. It hits everybody.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm glad that you stated that, because a lot of people assume that people who are operating in ministry got it all together.
Oh yeah, that's they
got it all together. Right. So you said so would you consider yourself more of an introvert then?
Oh, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not the type of person that's gonna walk up to somebody and start a conversation. That's not me. I stick to my corner. I guess you call me like a wallflower. I guess that's who I am. I'm just the person that stays to the side, and I kind of like it that way,
right?
Honestly,
right.
But God's definitely making me go out of my comfort zone a whole lot, and so it's been that a whole lot recently.
Yeah, I really can relate to everything you just said, because I am an introvert. Yeah. I'm the type of person, and a lot of time people hear introvert, they think that it's just being shy. It's beyond being shy. It's more so for me. People draw energy out of me, and in order for me to recharge, I need to go into my little cocoon and my little corner and just be left alone. And I'm the type of person I could just be by myself and be just fine.
Oh, me too.
You know,
me too.
Be just fine. However, when God calls you, it's not based on your comfort zone.
Oh, yeah.
It's based on His calling. And that's something that I've had to do on a regular basis, like doing this. This is out of my comfort zone. This is out of my comfort zone, y'all. But let's talk about the new season that God has you in, because one thing that I love about you is your obedience.
Yes, ma'am.
Even though life isn't perfect, even though you're not an extrovert, God has put you in almost center stage. So let's talk about this new season. Share the good news.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So I want to say it was back in probably February of this year. One of my friends had reached out to me and shared this competition that was going on. It's called Hallelujah Auditions, and was like, I think I'm gonna try this because they sing as well. But I think you should try it as well. And so I was like, I don't know. I'm not for those things. I don't like those things.
Right.
I don't like being in front of everybody. My church is all I need. I'm good.
Right. So, that's my comfort.
Right.
Yeah.
But then I honestly asked God, like, should I do this? And He was like, yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. And so I was like, all right. So I set my video in. And from that, the online submissions, they picked about 100 people, and they we have to go to Iowa to actually audition in person. And when you audition in person, you're auditioning for the top 10. So they go from the top 100 to the top 10. So I went to Iowa in May, and it was different because that was the first time I flew, honestly, by myself.
Okay.
So I flew to Iowa, and then from there they did the top 100, and I auditioned. They didn't really say anything. You just kind of sing your song, tell your testimony, go on. And so they said, we'll let you know in like June or July if you made it. And so I kind of forgot about it because honestly I didn't think I was going to make it. Because even from my they did like Friday afternoon, Saturday morning, all these different time slots. And from mine there was like 20 people, and I was like, wow, they're all going to make it. And I'm just
they're all going to make it.
I'm going home. Yeah, I'm going home. I ain't coming back to Iowa.
Right.
And so it was July. I got an email. It's like, oh, you made it. You're in the top 10. You made it. And so from there.
Okay, hold on. So how did that make you feel? Because you already assumed I ain't make it. At least I tried.
Yeah.
You know, but you got that email. So tell me, how did you feel in that moment?
I was shocked. I really was, because I didn't think I was gonna make it, because I thought all my friends were gonna. Because I made friends with all the people. I thought all of them were gonna make it, and they were gonna do great. And at least there was one person in particular. I was like, oh, he's gonna win. He's got it.
Yeah.
And when they picked me, it's like, am I?
Was he one of those in the top 10?
Oh yeah.
As well? Okay.
He made it to the top 10, and like, I guess it was in my mind. It was like, I'd never seen myself, I guess, on the same level as them. And so for them to be like, oh, it was almost like you're just as good as those people. And God's like, why are you looking at yourself like you're just this minuscule, like, nobody? Like, I made you to be someone and someone great. And
listen, you better tell it, Alan. I hope you go back and watch this.
Yes,
go ahead.
But I made you to be someone great. And the things that I've told you, God's giving me just guidance and direction on where He wants to take me. And it's like, what makes you think that I can't do that? And what makes you think that I didn't give you the things that you need to do that? And so just trust me. Like since I said I was a kid, just trust me. And so from there, I went back in August. Again, I had no kind of expectations of winning or taking anything home, because again, I was like, these people are great. Okay. And so, but I went in August, and then I spent about 3 days there. But the last day was a competition, and ended up taking home second place. And so I was like, wow.
Homeboy went to, I'm just going to go because my friend told me, I don't know if I'm that good, to win in second place. Out of how many people?
It was close to 1,000, they said. So it went from 1,000 to top 100 to top 10.
Out of 1,000? Alan, do you understand how big that is?
Yeah.
I mean, insane. They saw what I've been seeing all these years, so I'm like, wow, second place. That's awesome. Okay, so what happens now?
Well, now actually, at the competition, the first and second time I auditioned. I'm sorry. First time I auditioned, and then the second time I auditioned, and when I sang in the finals, I did an original song. And so the song I sang in the finals, I'm actually going to be releasing next month, in November. Ooh. So I'm gonna, finally, God's given me original music and things that to put out in the world, and so I just feel like now's the time to just go and start. I'm one to I guess procrastinate in a way and talk myself out of what God wants to do. Yeah, definitely overthinking. And so, I just felt like now's the time just to go. Don't sit down any longer, but just use everything God's given me.
Okay, so if they release all of that, so does that mean that you have to now start traveling and going? Or
not per se. It's just me personally, just releasing music.
Okay.
And so yeah.
Wow, that's awesome. Alan, I'm super, super proud of you. I'm so glad that you share that information, and whenever that drops, we are going to support him, right? Yes, we are going to support him, because I'm telling you, he's awesome. This is good ground right here. Investing in him is good ground. But I want to transition and talk about purpose, because it seems like you kind of knew your purpose and your path at a younger age, that worship was the way for you, that having a relationship with God was the way for you. I want you for a moment to explain why that was important for you to, because you're handsome, you're young, you're talented. You could choose to say, I don't need God to become whoever I want to become. Why is God so important to you?
God's important to me just because He's honestly been just the most faithful person I've ever known. He's been the most consistent person I've ever known. Just again, with just circumstances growing up, I kind of just was around people who I didn't feel like were there for me. And God's always been the one I could always run to. He was always my hiding place. He was always my refuge. And so whenever, and especially again as a child, and even as a teenager in my room, I would spend hours with him and just sit in his presence, because that's where I love to be. And I know it can seem very easy to get stuck in the things of this world and for those things that entice us and pull us in. But in the end, they just leave us empty, and they leave us feeling just unfulfilled and unsatisfied. But I can say for myself, when I really just gave my heart to God, I know we all pray the salvation prayer and we're like, God, Jesus, I accept you in my heart. But when you really give him your heart, when you give him your everything, when you give him your all, that's when you really can just make something out of you. For me personally, like I didn't come from the best beginnings. I came from a single parent household. We didn't have the most money and all those things. We didn't have a whole lot. And so I honestly, I shouldn't be where I am today. That's all I can say. I should not be where I am today. And God is just because I believe it's because of just me just allowing him to take control of my life and just being faithful to him, that he's in return been faithful to me and just giving me so many things that I don't deserve. Yeah. And so just because of that, I want to give him my whole life. And I know, again, it can seem like, God's not the cool thing to do. God's not the
especially with the younger generation.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just like God. It seems outdated and seems just not important, I guess, as most people would say. And but I can just tell you, God. There's a scripture I love. It just talks about what is it? It says, "Behold, I'm doing a new thing, and will you be aware of it? Will you perceive it?"
Yes.
And God's always doing something fresh and new. I know a lot of times church can get stuck in tradition, and church can get stuck in all of those things. But God is he stays the same, but he's doing something new, and especially I feel like for this younger generation, he doesn't just want us to be stuck in tradition and how things should be and how things are supposed to be in church, but he wants to do something new through us. Honestly, God has given me a desire to reach out to that younger generation, just because I've seen growing up how they can how God doesn't seem important. It maybe even doesn't seem real. And they've just gotten used to the religion of their parents and the religion of their grandparents and their pastors. And God's just wanted a true and genuine relationship with us. And if we would just humble ourselves and just seek his face. He says in his word, I love it. It's Jeremiah 29:13. If you seek me with your whole heart, you'll find me. And if we just give him our all and just seek him with everything we have, we'll find him and everything in him and all of his promises.
Yeah. That is so good. So that's the mouth of a young individual, 25 years old, not from me, an older woman, but taking it from his life, his experience, exactly what he said, that I believe that God is the same. He's consistent, but his methodology may change. The way that he does things will change from generation, from season to season. We can't get stuck on the way that God operates. Well, God, you're supposed to operate like this. God's not in a box. So we, as the body, the church, we have to make room for the new ways that God is operating. Because we don't want to miss a whole generation because we're stuck in this is how we're supposed to do it. So thank you so much for clarifying that. Before we transition, because I have a treat for you all at the end, but I want you to give a final word of encouragement to the younger generation. Maybe somebody who, like you, felt like they weren't worthy from a background that they're not most proud of. Maybe made mistakes that they really weren't, don't know how to overcome. Or maybe depressed, anxious. Searching for something, but they feel like, I don't know what that is. So I want you just to give a word of encouragement to somebody who may be struggling right now or questioning or on the fence about God.
Right. Yeah, I can just say that you're not alone. I've been there as well. There's plenty of mistakes I've made in my past that I'm not proud of and things that I've done, but God's merciful and his love for us never changes. He says in his word, he'd never leave us, he'd never forsake us, and that, he's there for us, even to the ends of the earth. And nothing we can do can make him love us even less. There's nothing we can do. It says the Bible says if we make our bed in hell, he's there with us. And so there's nothing we can do that would make us, or make him just separate himself from us. He's always with us and he loves us. And I just want to encourage somebody today, if you feel like you're too far gone, no one's ever too far gone from God. No one's ever too far gone from him. And also just for those who feel like they're on the fence, I would just say God says in his word, I'm kind of paraphrasing, but test me and try me. Try me. That's all we can do. That's all we can do. And if we try him and his all the promises in his word, he says those are ours. And if you try him, if you just if you just want to read your Bible, one verse a day, if you just want to pray 5 minutes, if you try him, I guarantee you, if you do it with your whole heart, he'll find him and he'll come and meet you right where you are. And if you feel like you don't have purpose, he'll give it to you. I was a kid who honestly, I didn't know what I was supposed to do. I knew I loved music. I knew I loved worship, but I didn't know that it would lead to all of this that God has for me right now. And so I just feel like too, that if you don't know who you are or whose you are, just know that you're a child of God and he has your whole future in store for you. Everything. It's all planned out and it's good. He says he works all things for the good. Even those things that, again, we're not too happy about that we may have did in the past. But he says he can work all of those things together for the good. So just try him. That's all I want to say.
Awesome. Listen, we could pass the offering plate now. Because he just preached a sermon right there. But thank you so much for joining me. And stay tuned because we're not finished. Alan has a treat for everyone.
I present to you Alan singing his original song, I Found Jesus.
I searched the world for something to feel, for something to come, feeling that void. Whatever we feel is always so fleeting. Who can I run to? Yeah. Who can I run to? So many answers to my one simple question. Counterfeit won't do. I see it now, what I was missing. I finally found the truth, and I found Jesus. And I'll never go back again. And I found Jesus. All I needed, I found it here. Nothing else will do. I'm in love with you. And no one could take your place. And I found Jesus. And I'll never be the same. Oh, searching subside, I found the real thing. But I'll never stop pursuing your heart. Like they come and try to distract me. Yeah, I'll keep chasing you. Yeah, I'll keep chasing you. Oh, I'm inconsistent. You never change. God, you ain't nothing can take. Joy that I have, what I found in you, yeah, I found Jesus, and I'll never go back again. I found Jesus, yeah, all I need, I found it. Nothing else will do. I'm in love with you. No one could take your place. I found Jesus. I'll never be the same. Oh, see what I found in here more precious than anything I found. Everything I need, I found Jesus. Yeah, what I found in here more precious than anything I found. Everything I need, I found Jesus. And I found Jesus. And I'll never go back again. And I found Jesus. All I needed, I found in Him. Nothing else will do. I'm in love with you. No one could take your place. And I found Jesus. And I'll never be the same.
Alan is a testimony of the fact that whenever you have a real encounter with Jesus, you will never, ever be the same. Alan, I pray that you continue to love God with all of your heart and watch God blow your mind. Your future is so bright. Behold, God has done a great thing in you, and I'm so glad that anxiety and depression did not hold you down. Keep going, my friend. I am in your corner.